Homeschooling is not regulated in Oklahoma. There are no tests, diplomas, or requirements. Two News anchor Brianne Palmerina takes a deeper look at who could be hiding behind homeschooling.
Angela McGinnis says she's used homeschooling to teach all three of her kids at one point during their education.
A lot of these kids come out of homeschool at a way higher rate than what somebody comes out of public school in.
She says homeschooling provides a unique opportunity to tailor education to your child.
I know so many parents who homeschool and do such an amazing job, and they don't need the testing and they don't need the, the state requirements. But there's so many on the other side that do.
And she says those parents and families hide behind the freedoms provided by Oklahoma laws.
Here in Oklahoma, if you say my child is homeschooled, that's it. They cannot follow up. DHS cannot come in the home. Truancy officers cannot come to check on them.
And it's a problem she says she sees in the neighborhood where she works. She's a property manager in the area of 61st and Peoria. It's a part of town you've seen in the news on a regular basis, and not for good reasons. Tulsa police say it has one of the highest crime rates in the city.
They're growing up in homes with brothers, uncles, fathers that are all gang members. And they're involved in a lot of drug activity, crime, things like that. And that's what they're learning.
I spent 3 mornings in the area and saw dozens of kids not in class. When I asked this group why, they told me they were homeschooled. Verdell Walker lives in the area of 61st and Peoria. He knows a lot of kids who are or were homeschooled and has seen some of the consequences.
It's kind of upsetting. I feel like kids should all get an education. That's the key to life.
He also knows what it's like.
I was in homeschooling for a couple years.
He said it was tough. He did end up with his GED, but he says he has friends who didn't and wound up asking for money on the streets.
It was sad to see that he didn't have the right guidance to get out there because he wasn't taught right in homeschooling. He was taught by his mom, too.
Under the law, there are no requirements for parents in order to homeschool. There are no tests or diplomas. It is unlawful to neglect or refuse a child's attendance to school or learning institution unless there are other means provided, or homeschooling. And that instruction is provided in good faith. I asked Alana Grissom why, as a parent, why bother if you're not going to provide the education? She has a PhD in psychology, focusing on at-risk youth. She's also spent time working in juvenile affairs. She thinks she knows the answer.
A lot of times the parents who have elected to pull their kids out of school under the guise of homeschooling are parents who have a lot of mental health, drug abuse types of issues.
She says it may be easier than forcing a child to go to school, and they don't have to deal with the consequences.
Because our laws are non-existent regarding homeschooling, there is nothing to prosecute.
She says she's seen parents and students use it to drop out.
But it doesn't show up on the district's paperwork. The family's happy. The school isn't in a bind with having that dropout number, and life goes on.
The State Department of Education does not keep track of homeschooled students. There are no official records of their failures, but there is some of their successes. According to homeschooling.org, there are about 675,000 school-age kids in the state, and nearly 20,000 are homeschooled. Thousands do go on to higher education, and stories like Verdell's are not the typical outcome.
If homeschooling had a reputation for producing poor students, poor citizens, all kinds of issues, I might understand that concern.
Paul Rose is a homeschooling parent and a representative for OCHEC, the Christian Home Educators Association. He says the system is fine just the way it is.
We will resist any form of regulation to the homeschooling families. Sounds harsh, but this idea of if it only saves one child or if it only helps one child, we'll give up all of our freedoms. That's not consistent with the founding of our country.
But Angela McGinnis just wants to make sure the kids she sees are not left behind.
They're not given the opportunities that the other kids are, and I think that the state shelters them from that.
Wojciech goes to the state capitol every year asking lawmakers to literally do nothing when it comes to homeschool laws. Currently, there are no proposed laws to change the requirements. Brianne Palmerini, 2 News, works for you.